So thank you so much for joining in. Um, it's amazing to see how technology can connect us through various boundaries. Quite happy to uh, share our stories. Hi. Now I think you can see me. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whichever part of the world you're logging in from. So we're just trying to test this feature on Facebook as well as on LinkedIn. Um, Mainly, I have a guest with me, Lavanya, my wife, uh, who is a homemaker and also a chartered accountant, works for a large MNC, and she manages home as well as her office. We have three uh, older generation family members who are above 70 years and two children and two of us. So here today we are going to talk about what kind of challenges and even opportunities at times, I should say, we faced during lockdown, the first edition, and also on the second edition, lockdown 2.0. And from Monday onwards, we are as a country in India facing lockdown 3.0. So let's figure it out as we go forward, and you may have a chat window. Please do type in your question so that we can take it up one at a time. I'm going to introduce you to my wife, Lavanya. Hi Lavanya, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Bhaskar. Hi, everyone. Very good afternoon, good evening, good morning, in whichever part of the globe you are. Nice to be on this show. I mean, for me, it's a first year first. This kind of show. Bhaskar is used to all these things, not me. So this conversation is going to be pretty heart to heart because I haven't prepared for it. Okay, nor I know what Bhaskar has got googlies for me in this. I'm really not aware. Okay. I'm sure it's going to be nice. I mean, it's good to share our experiences. I mean, it's the first day for us, for all of us, in terms of this lockdown. I'm sure, we haven't faced like this. None of us have kind of gone through any of these things. So it's going to be nice.
Yeah, thank you Lavanya, and it would have been really great if we have few more guests who could join on the show. I know lots of our friends in different cities. I grew up in Chennai. I have a lot of friends in Chennai who keep sharing their stories of how their families are coping up with the lockdown. And I spent a lot of time, initial part of my career in Hyderabad, and lots of friends in Hyderabad too. Earlier, I used to work for a non-profit, then for a for-profit organization before I moved to Bangalore for a job. Uh, Here in Bangalore, I picked up a lot of relationships, both in our apartment where we live in southern part of Bangalore, near IIM. Also, I have carried few friends all across the career and all the cities that we have worked on. So I'm going to talk about a few of our transitions that we did. Also, how it has an impact on our lockdown situation right now. And few of our friends are in different countries like US, Singapore, Australia, to name a few countries. We get responses from them on what they do, how they are coping with this. So as a start for this conversation, I think we will talk about when the lockdown was about to happen. I still remember on 15th March, which is a Sunday. As a part of my role, I had to ensure safety of my team members across the country and the beneficiaries whom we deal with. So while doing those conversations and talking to them, it dawned upon me that it's important for me to protect my family as well. And Lavanya and I, we spoke a lot about how we are going to do that. First thing she said was, I think you should stay back in Bangalore, stop traveling. For some of you who may be knowing my kind of work culture and style for many years now, while I have my family in Bangalore, I work out of office in Mumbai. So Monday to Friday, whole week, I would be there, and only weekends I would come to Bangalore. That had put a lot of stress on Lavanya to ensure the family is well taken care with all the elders and children. It's a very big responsibility, and hats off to you, Lavanya, for taking that load. And now with lockdown, how much of it has helped you prepare for the lockdown? That's the first question I have. I have seen you, in action when you quickly sprung into action for the first lockdown period. Uh, what was your expectation, and how did you cope with it?
Good question, Bhaskar. I think, as I just mentioned, it's all the first of first for all of us, when this lockdown was thing. But what I was doing is, since, as you mentioned, I mean, since you are also in Mumbai, and we had Manaswini is our elder daughter. We had her dance Arangetram. Arangetram is the first dance performance, a public dance performance of a student who learns Bharatnatyam. And this was actually scheduled on 28th of March. Okay. So, I mean, and we had to invite a lot of guests and everything, and it's a very big thing for the child. So I have been actually following up on this news, I mean, when this coronavirus thing came up. And generally with my given busy schedule, I'm not that very news kind of a person. Okay. However, now with this happening, I was kind of following up on the news. And I mean, in Bangalore, I mean, Karnataka was one of the states, and I think Bangalore in particular was to go into lockdown much before the whole of the country went into lockdown. So I have been following the news on the do's and don'ts and everything, and also in my organization, we were actually kept abreast of the various news, or what's happening, how we need to manage things and stuff. And as they had said, not we should not have more than gathering of more than of what do you say, 50 people or something. So even though we were all very excited about this dance performance, including Manaswini, I mean, to share with you guys, we have in fact completed a photo shoot for this event, for the cards to be printed and everything. I had to take a very what do you say, it's a very emotional call that I had to take. In fact, when Bhaskar came back on that Friday, I was telling him, Bhaskar, see, this is how the news is. And I think just to keep in mind that, because it will have a lot of small children coming for the event to attend, I said, that time this was not this big. Okay, all this lockdown, those things are not there. Only they said no gathering of more than 50 people or 100 people. I said, let's kind of postpone this. As I said, it's very big emotional decision, because even in her own dance class, she was the first student who was performing this Arangetram. So it's quite difficult. So I've been speaking to the teacher, telling her, ma'am, how do you want to do it? The ma'am said, I would leave it to you, because as a parent, I would go with your decision. So we kind of postponed it. And I mean, and yes, Manaswini, I mean, I think she's pretty I think children also understand, and since she's in hearing us out, I didn't have to explain to her why we had to postpone this and all. She herself understood. She says, okay, mom, I understand. That was one of the very big decisions in this lockdown, because we've been preparing for this event for around say 5 months, like in terms of a practice and everything. And this was the last leg, the last 10 days before the Bega event. And more than that, a lot of my cousins, our friends, had planned to fly down from various parts of India to here. So it was a big thing, where we had to take a big major decision because of this lockdown. And that was the first to the first. So yes, a big decision in lockdown. I mean, that was the starting point of everything.
Yeah, I still remember we were sitting in the uh, artist studio where the design of Arangetram invite was being made, and we had a lot of iterations and back and forth and so on. And suddenly when this news came up, we had to take a call for the safety of everyone who's attending. And also we were following the global news, and there's some gut feeling which said, yeah, it's going to affect us definitely, for sure. And it was a very tough decision to call it off. And I know, since Manaswini is in 10th standard, we may have to prepare this in a much more tougher time going forward, because she has to balance her academics as well as the dance, right? So that's one part. And once the lockdown started, I think 22nd March, we had a trial lockdown. And I still remember on the trial day, we had, jumped out of this balcony with, all the vessels to make noise and stuff like that. So it was really a memorable evening, I should say, where I could see everyone across the place where we live in, where demonstrating their love and affection and respect for all the medical fraternity who are sticking their neck out and putting their lives at risk to safeguard our families. So that was a very touchy and memorable moment for me. Then we were a lot of following a lot of WhatsApp. And I know, Lavanya, when we moved to lockdown 2.0, watching WhatsApp for news and newsworthy material came down a lot for me. My interest level waned when with respect to WhatsApp, but I switched to e-paper. On iPad, I started following all the magazines and newspaper and see what are the trends and how people are coping with the situation and so on. How was it for you? I know you had to manage a schedule from morning till evening, both the cook, maid, none of the support available for you. You had to manage and plan the entire week. How was that? Was it really stressful, and how did you cope with it?
Yeah, the first, I mean, I would probably take a step back and go to the first lockdown. So when they announced, saying that, it's lockdown, I was like, okay, fine, then what, Then in the apartment, just to ensure the safety of everyone, they had said we will not have the maids and cooks coming in or any other kind of thing because, we don't know, right, how it would spread and everything. So with that, the first day, don't believe me, it was really like a nervous breakdown, in the sense I was really thinking, how do I manage? Because all these years, we have been having a cook. I mean, for the past 8 years, we've been having a cook, we have a maid. And as Bhaskar just mentioned at the start of this conversation, we have three uh, elderly family members, and and amongst them, one is a very senior citizen who is around 80 years, who will turn 80 this year, plus two children, with both of us working. And my job profile is not, I think some of the job profiles are such that, during this lockdown, they don't have much to do, but ours is not. For us, it's business as usual. So as full for Bhaskar, it has been that way for us. I was just literally wondering, is it all possible? Or, am I really, how is it going to happen? How am I going to manage? As I said, it was definitely nerve breaking thought. And I was really not sure how things would go. And luckily, as they say, it happened that I think it all started on a Monday, if I'm, or a Tuesday. I think Tuesday it started. And luckily, Wednesday was a holiday for me. So probably that one day helped me to, align things, my thoughts, everything, how do you want to do it? It was more like a trial and error mechanism because it was all a starting phase for everyone, I believe, at that time, because now we have a lot of people talking about it, but at that time nobody had any experience. It was all everybody trying to see how things could work. So yes, it was a big experimentation on how do we do things, and how do we manage both home and work. Sometimes yes, there's a very thin line which comes in, but at the same time you have to ensure that you balance both. More than all these things, it was the, what do you say, how do you manage the senior citizens? Because what happens, just to share the example, my father-in-law and my mom both are used to having lot of doing walking, and at this point in time I had to tell them not to step out of the house, because the guidance was that the medical fraternity had guidance that especially the senior citizens, we don't want them to go out because they are more susceptible to catching this infection very quickly. And as I said, both are, it's very difficult. I mean, it's very emotionally difficult for me to tell them not to go, because it's like, and what will they do, right? At least we have other things to do, like we have our office, but what will they do? And we didn't even have newspaper in our, I mean, we had, again, in the apartment, we decided collectively that we will not have any print media, because again, not sure how safe it was. So all these things, how do you manage them, right? That was very important thing, quite difficult, quite challenging. I mean, it was, again, to make them, as they rightly say, once they cross 70, they become children. Okay. And once they are nearing 80, they become very small children. So it is more like, making a child understand not to go, why not to go, what are the problems. Yeah, they do follow the news, but sometimes what happens, it's very difficult for them to, kind of decide whether what is right, what is wrong. So you'll have to help them, guide them, coach them. Yes. it was definitely that, that was also one of the phases that we followed. I think children as well, because again, children are not used to being at home, and for them also the first few days and weeks were kind of difficult, but I think now they've got used to it, they understand it. So it was quite challenging, not that easy though to manage, but I think now it's all okay. I think lockdown 2.0 was a transition, so it was not difficult, I would say. And I mean, we got used to it. Like, as everybody says, a new normal, we got used to it. We have similar stories from others as well. We have so many working women, right? So we had similar stories. So it became the new norm, and people started telling that, what do you say, work from home and work for home, there's going to be a very thin line, guys, and we need to understand, accept it, go with this reality and try to balance things. So I think 2.0 was much better, and now lockdown 3 is even more better because we've all got accustomed to it. Right now, I think 3, I'm not even worried. Like, okay, fine, they want 15 days, they want to do 20 days. I'm really not that worried about how many more days it's going to go, because it's all become a way of life now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still remember the first few days. I drew a timetable to spend time with my younger one, then elder one, and we designed a Monday to Sunday kind of a schedule for subjects like math, science. How would we complete one topic at a time, and do a check on extracurricular as well, over and beyond the textbook. So that was going on for some time. Then the younger one got some support in managing her energy level. So those of you who know Manvita, she's highly energetic, active, and she needs a lot of attention in terms of managing her energy or channelizing her energy. And I know, Lavanya, you did your best to giving her some assignments, tasks, and also some fire questioning while you are cooking, and great help from your mother. She also did some load sharing of playing with her games and all that. Uh, while all of these were attempts to wean her away from Netflix, wean her away from all the favorite cartoons that she would watch. Thanks to your organization, your employer, I think they also came up with a schedule of yoga, craft, and other online sessions for kids. So how was it? Can you talk more about that, please?
Yeah, sure. So they came up with a kind of a Zoom session where every day, and they had actually divided into three different age groups. That is, I think, age group, I think till 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old, 6 to 9, and 10 to 12, three age groups. And every day they had designed some activity. It would be a craft, art and craft, doodling. I mean, kind of doodling or paper activity. Then one day it is to be yoga, one day Zumba, then they had some storytelling sessions. So this way, all the 5 days in the week, they did keep the children occupied. It was for half an hour, but by the time the children get ready, they're excited. And by the time they kind of the after effects, as you say, once your fingers, then you're still into that. Children usually they can't switch on and off very easily. So continuing that thing. So this way, I think I should thank my organization for having, this one. Even at this point in time, even the 1 hour is very important. Okay, every minute counts to keep the children engaged. If you don't want them to overexpose them to TV or a cell phone or iPad, whatever, so it is very nice to have that. And that way she used to be engaged. And now, in fact, she started asking me again, mom, when I think after April, now in May, they haven't announced any session after the last week of April. So now she keeps asking me, mom, when is the next session? Can you just check and let me know? This is how it has been. So helping to manage the children when moms and dads are at work at home.
Yeah, true. And I know we had a fixed routine. Um, and thanks to you, I got enrolled into an online yoga session in the morning and in the evening. And thanks to Manaswini, who partners with me for these sessions. In the morning, it would be like for an hour. It would normally start at around 7 and go on till about 8:15, and in the evening it would start around 6:30 and go on till about 7:30. So that was a fixed part of my routine, and that really helped me, to focus. So soon after that, I would go out, put trash in the waste management area. That was one of designated task to me. As soon as I wear my handkerchief mask, go out, throw the trash. There are some specific guidelines in our apartment for wet waste, only certain areas, then dry waste, then sanitary waste, and so on. Lavanya, I think you were the one who had to keep track on which day is for what kind of waste and so on. So that would set my calendar for the entire week. Soon after yoga, I would go out and put those trash. By the time I come in, there's no other go but to take a shower. So that was like start of my day, and soon after 9:15, I would start logging in, and my calls would start by around 10. Uh, the review calls, and then it will go on till about 6:30 in the evening. I still remember there are many days where I would sit in one place continuously from morning till evening, where I would ask either the elder one or the younger one to fetch me a bottle of water, or I'll just take a short bio break. Lunch used to come to table. So my lockdown 1.0 was very hectic. Sometimes my calls would start around 9:30 and go on till 9:30 in the night. Then there was a point I decided that that's not sustainable. My energy was draining too much, and I was like unplugged version. So then I wrote an email to my colleagues saying, "Hey, you know what? I need my me time between 1 in the afternoon to 3 in the afternoon. I need my me time. It's so critical for me to respond to emails and so on." So that's how I could cope with that pressure. Once I decided that my yoga class would not be compromised, I had to log off by 6 o'clock, because I had to prepare myself bodily and also mentally to be ready for a session. So that would take away a lot of my work pressure or stress, I should say, and no calls after 8 o'clock. So, and then I would stop responding to emails in the night. All those odd email response time stopped for me in lockdown 2.0. I'm sure this would become a new habit, new normal for me. And I count on all of these new habits that I picked up to stay longer. What are your thoughts?
Yes, so yes, as Bhaskar mentioned, the first week was super crazy. He used to have calls from 8:30 to 9:30, and I'm like, what's happening? I mean, you're not taking any breaks, and that's really not good. And he used to become very drained. And as he just mentioned, he was in his unplugged version. And that's usually when Bhaskar works, he's very emotionally connected to his work, very emotionally attached. So he just be working, working, working. Then I think yoga. That's when I suggested yoga, and that he started in the first week of April. Yes, initially because he's lost his practice to doing yoga, it was a bit difficult in the sense, the yoga poses and everything was in a kind of strenuous, but I think he's got used to it now. I mean, initially few days he used to be like, it was as if, I'm sending him at the gunpoint. It is to be that way, okay? And we have had our own share of fights about it, okay? No doubt about it. But now I think what I would probably, I'm happy about it is in spite of all those things, which I did at gunpoint, probably according to him. Okay. And, he's now got used to it and now he's enrolled. I haven't asked him. Okay. So he's enrolled for the next month as well. Okay. So yesterday he told me, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm paying fees for the next month. I said, good. Yay. Come on. Good thing that, at least that's become a way of your life, right? Where he started liking yoga. Of course, see, yoga is at different levels and, it takes, I mean, it's not only bodily, it's also mentally challenging, and it takes a lot of efforts and time, I mean, in that sense, to do different days the yoga and everything. But I think he's now started enjoying it, which is really nice. So I'm happy for Bhaskar about it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that new change. See, how much ever we talk about change and personal, adjustments that we need to make for such a big, massive. Mind you, we are all very privileged. we could sit at our homes and we could afford to have a lifestyle like this. And my heart goes out for all those who are not so privileged to have this kind of a lifestyle. And whenever Manaswini, myself, when we talk about it, it comes to a stage where how can we help them, how can we support them, and so on. So when we're talking about our experience, it doesn't mean in any way belittling all those who are suffering. So just we are sharing our experience in the family. That's it. So when we moved from lockdown 1.0 to 2.0, it was very apparent that the way things were unfolding with respect to virus, it would stay for longer. So from 1.0 to 2.0, we had to make these lifestyle changes, and children had to be engaged. So something really noteworthy happened. Both the kids are very creative, and my birthday happened on 5th of April, and we had lots of fun, treasure hunt inside the house. There's a concept of escape room. Some of you may be familiar with. So Lavanya and myself were locked into this room, and a lot of clues we had to follow the trail, unlock one clue for the next one, and so on. Finally, we had the key to escape the room. So that was really fun. That led us to a new way of every second day or every third day we used to have family time in the night. So after all our work is over, dinner is done, everything is packed, lights off, and then we would huddle in a room. By the time the children would have prepared small chits like them charades, where we had categories and so on. So I think Lavanya, it would be nice if you can talk about how those moments occurred to you, and how did we spend time with family.
Yeah, that was really nice. I mean, as you always, there is always, or you say, even in the dark clouds, there's a silver lining they talk about. That's always, I think it's a proverb which we all been heard about it. I think that is how I would see this. So in general, yes, we would not have this opportunity because children will have schools, they will have their homeworks, they'll have their classes, and we will be busy with our office work and other things that we do, our shopping, our this and that. But I think here with this kind of a lockdown, yes, we could I mean, to office, yes, there were other things to do, as I said, maid cook not there, but we could cut down on a lot of things like traveling to office, more importantly getting ready for office, because that also takes some time, right? So all these we could cut down, and we could have this family time where the children came up with lot of innovative stuff, as Bhaskar mentioned, like what is that game, dumb charades, yeah, dumb charades. In that they innovated having different categories of dumb charades. This way they came up with and many other things they came up with. So it was nice to have this family time. And also what the children did was they, since they didn't have school or any homework or anything, they also spent a lot of time with the grandparents in the night. They used to also some days play some carom or cards or anything with the grandparents. I think that was also another addition, because otherwise at school they're so, when things become so hectic for them, uh, they don't, or they go down to play. So I think this is also nice because that also they had some time to do that.
Yeah, and thanks for that. In fact, I learned a lot about kids, during that time. It really helped me to understand their desires and what do they know. It really surprised me. For example, Manaswini knew many things about the new music bands across the globe. I was like really surprised. How is it possible? Uh, but she knew a great deal about the songs, great deal about the band, what they do, how they became world famous, the history. I was really blown away. Kind of uh, knowledge the younger generation gathers through social media. And I know she doesn't spend too much time on her mobile, but still she kept up to date on what's happening in K-pop. I think that's the word I heard. It stayed with me. Anyway, so not all is rosy. I know my father, who suffered a lot during this period, he still misses his evening walks. It's so critical for him to go out and get a fresh air, feel that he has put in his effort in walking. I think mentally it really affected him a great deal that the freedom of movement is missed, and he had to be confined within the four walls here. That really put me at a lot of stress. How do I help him? What do I do to comfort him, and so on. It's important for him to come to terms that uh, he still needs support. And for us, the greater shock was, he is not that independent that he can walk without taking support or help of the nearby objects or wall and so on. So that leaves us with only way of precautionary measure of not allowing him outside the house. So that put me under a lot of pressure, I should say. So otherwise, my mom, my mother-in-law, they're all coping well. We have a shared TV time. So there are some certain slots which we don't encroach on each other. That I learned from you, Lavanya. Can you talk about that? How did you manage the TV time?
Yeah, because yes. So in our house we have only one TV. So I know some homes have TVs in different rooms, but I'm not that very big fan of TV. Because I somehow feel that children need to channelize energy not just in TV and in other mediums as well, like sports and so many other creative stuff. I mean, that's my personal opinion, guys. I mean, but I strongly feel that. So yes, so we have only one TV at home, and so the TV time had to be shared because during calls the elders wouldn't be able to watch TV. Then Bhaskar is a big TV buff. I'm not that. Okay, so he needed his TV time, children needed their TV time, uh, parents needed their TV time. Then I said, okay, fine, guys, we somehow need to have a timetable. Like in school we have different periods like English, Hindi, maths and science. Here also it will be all be time bound. So I said, Bhaskar, yours will be the last slot for the day, okay, because elders would go to sleep early, so we will have different time slots. And this was communicated to them saying, guys, you will not encroach upon each other's time slots. This is your time slot, and this is when you need to watch TV. That is how we had to do. Yes, a bit of policing here, but yes, it is very important because. And what I also felt is in these times, as Vasco was just mentioning about his dad and also about my mom, I would say that mentally it is very difficult for the elders. Okay, maybe they will not be able to express in the way we are expressing. I think this generation, at least when it comes to children or our age, we are more able to express things. Okay, they are not in that position to express things. So I think in this time it has also made me probably being more considerate towards them. Because I have seen you will not be able to, because their behavior will be very different sometimes. Okay, it could be being very calm, being a bit aggressive, but what I've learned from this, it is nothing personal against you. It is their own way of managing this, which is very difficult. As I said, we are having our own channels, we are having our WhatsApp, we are having our friends to talk, we are having our office. So it's not that difficult for us, but for them it is really difficult, because for them the only option is, I think, watch TV. And also how much hours you can watch TV in a day, right? You can't watch. For them the major thing is to going down, doing their walks, talking to their friends, their own age group of friends, which they could not do for all these things. So they have their own emotions, which they are trying to channel in various ways. So you need to be more considerate towards that. And that's one big thing which I have learned. I understand, because we ourselves are going through those emotions, I mean, at different levels, of course, depending upon your mental capacity to handle this. We're also going through this, but I would probably, I mean, it's a friendly advice or suggestion which I have gone through. I'm saying that we need to be more considerate to the senior citizens and the children, because children also break down. Because I did have, Manaswini Manita kind of saying, why can't we go down? Manaswini is still okay. She was feeling a bit, some days you have your own ups and downs, but Manita was also like, why can't I go down and stuff? So yes, it's you need to manage them as well.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I see a question from Sharita Patnaik. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing this question. I know it's only Corona news, right? There's no much happening across the globe. They all talk about all gory things, and there are also some news about people recovering and some new technology or new drug being tested, some new technique, that worked well for few and so on. But there are far and few. But the question that you asked is very pertinent. How do we help them mentally for those who have to go out because of their profession? especially medical profession. I'm sure there's a lot of stress that they are going through. So I can share a couple of thoughts that come to my mind now, and then I would request Lavanya, you can share your ideas. One of them is family. Family first. I think the family members, the immediate family members, understanding and their adjustment is going to be a great help for these medical professionals when they go out. I know it's so critical for them to feel assured and feel that yes, my family is behind me. That's the first thing, right? And please express your words of comfort. Make sure that they understand that you're behind them. I think some of us make this mistake of not externalizing our thoughts. We keep it within ourselves, and that leads to communication gaps at times. So it's okay to share that I love you and I care for you. I know you're going out for taking care of others, and I know for sure that you will stay safe. You are competent to take care of your safety. We are dependent on you, so please do ensure your safety. This conversation, making it more verbal, so that they can hear it, is very critical. The second point I would say is making sure their needs are taken care of. Are they sleeping on time or adequate time? If they don't come 2 3 days at a stretch because of workload or any other reason, I think you may put your foot down and say, you know what, just come for a break, and ensure that they either take a break and come home, or they take a break and rest well at the workplace. And that is something you could do as a family member. Once this is done, I think the sleep cycle, the stress level, and the comfort that you give, ensuring their well-being and safety, it would go a long way in keeping that. And keep your stress levels also down by distracting yourself in other activities which are more productive for you. One tip I learned in this lockdown is doing household work is more therapeutic. It takes your mind away. These are called neutral activities. When you do neutral activities, scientifically, neuroscience has proven this many a times. Please do Google research and find out yourself. Your parasympathetic nerve system gets activated. The moment that happens, that's a what do you say, a braking system for our stress hormones, so that we can come back to normal. So this is something we have to do consciously. Take care of yourself and ensure that they know that you are behind them. So that's briefly from my end. Over to you, Lavanya.
Yeah, I think Bhaskar, you almost covered all the points that is needed at this point in time. Um, I think that's about it. And I think Shaita, personally and also on behalf of the family, I would like to thank those family members of yours who are helping us in this moment, because I think we are able to sit at home because of them. I mean, they are going out. They are our line of defense. So please personally convey our thanks, our gratitude to those members from your family who are, going out in this critical hour. We have one more question from Rakesh Naidu Bhaskar.
Yeah. Hi, Rakesh. Thanks for that question. As I mentioned, I have a session tomorrow for the organization, how to handle change and in this difficult time, personal change as well as organizational change. I would definitely take up your question, and it's important that we put our family first. I think that's the foremost for all of us. Without this family support, I don't think any medical professional like the likes of Sharita's family and many others out there, we won't be able to come out of this situation. And it's a long drawn situation. It's not going to end by lockdown 3.0. We may have to take precautions for a very long time, 6 months to 18 months to the least. We may have to get used to wearing a mask wherever we go, ensure we wash our hands, we stay healthy, have healthier habits, whatever we developed during this lockdown, to continue. Have a disciplined approach of personal hygiene and so on. With that, the last point or the section I would like to mention here is, please remember, this is like a wartime. During wartime, how families function. Families stay together, stick together, they go underground, even if there is no food or less food or no variety, same food, anything is okay. That's what family is all about. So if it's the same khichdi, same upma every day, if it's the same bread every day, I think that's okay in a family. No one would say anything. In my lifetime, I have not seen any war, but this is more like a war, where there is no the enemy. You can't see the enemy, and many people are looking at this situation as a typical war kind of a scenario, and a family is the fundamental unit which would help us stay together and tide over this difficult time. So please educate your children. I think that's a foremost important task here. Educate them, saying, you know what, even if we have same kind of food, the quantity is less, or there's no variety, or there is no kind of newness in the way we are handling ourselves. This is going to be the new normal. Every time I go out, or Lavanya goes out to buy something from the shop, it's a risk that we carry. We go out, buy in bulk, and we manage the entire week, or at least 3 to 4 days with what we get from outside. And we manage the entire show without much of ado. And hats off to you, Lavanya. You make it as a surprise, even though if it's an old recipe, you present it really well, you garnish it well, and that's a surprise element for us. Recently, you tried a new sweet dish, and came out so well, and that's the sweetness of a family staying together, being tolerant, being adjusting, flexible. I think these are the values I learned in this lockdown one, two, and I'm sure in three there are new learnings that will come up. Emotions are going up and down for sure. I myself have experienced it many times in the past. The stress gets onto you. Reminding ourselves, having that little corner chat. When Lavanya tells me, "Hey, I need to have a chat with you," then I would understand. Okay, I have done something which needs to be addressed soon. So we quickly go to a corner, we talk it out. I explain my point of view, then I hear her point of view. If the mistake is mine, most of the time it is, then I say sorry. So that's how we manage. I think that's a message out there for every family listening to this. Please do make adjustments. Ego cannot play a role here. It's so important. Uh, so, Lavanya, you want to share anything as a closing remark before we move on?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's very personal thought here that I would like to share. As I mean, as I said, everything comes with positives and negatives, and that's how we need to, kind of look at the situation as well. Personally, I'm a very, what do you say? I always try to find, what do you say, some good even if things are bad. That's my personal thing. I always say, no, it's okay. I mean, this is fine. Let's see what next we could do. Try to be more solution oriented, because problems will always exist in some form or the other. That is, that's how I feel. And so, always try to be positive. I know it's easy to say stay positive. Okay, that's we've been hearing everywhere. It is sometimes, you hear the same thing time and again. It's like, what's all this? Why, what is that to stay positive when we're not able to go out, when we're not able to meet my parents, for some people who are staying in a different city or a state. But I would always say that actually helps your mental well-being, because at this juncture, being mentally balanced is very important, especially when you have a lot of people who are dependent on you, because you are their anchor. You have to support them. If you break down, it's going to be very difficult for them. So I would suggest that, please try to maintain your equilibrium, and as Bhaskar mentioned, try to distract yourself into various activities apart from your normal ones. That would help. I have a lot of my friends who do painting, artwork, singing, a lot of things, DIY, a lot of things they are into. And again, as I said, it's a very personal suggestion or a very personal point that I would like to make is I know we all, I mean, different people have different domestic help, that we are engaging, whether it is your Iron Man, watchman, what do you say, a maid, cook, or everybody. Let's try to support them in our own way that we are capable of. We might be able to, even though I know they are not going to show up for work, either we can, give them the full salary, half salary, or depends on however in our capacity we can help them, because for them also, this is the only livelihood they have. I think we should support them in whatever way we can. That's how this would be my thoughts on this.
Yeah, thanks, Lavanya. I think the last bit that you spoke about is so critical. Please do support families that are dependent on you, whether it is someone who helps you with household chores or cooking and so on. They need to pay rent, and like you are fortunate enough, or let me talk about myself. I'm fortunate enough to work from home and get paid salary for it. I'm sure they are not that fortunate, and I feel it's my duty to support them. I'm sure many of you out there do the same. And I see the chat window. I see Rakesh's experience. Yeah, he's in a red zone in Rome. I think you're there for your studies. It's really hats off, how you can stay away so far from family. Keep your cool, continue to engage with your family on video, ensuring their safety. And good to know that you have learned some cooking, cleaning. Yeah, bad haircut. Yeah, so I know each one of us are coping our situation in the way best possible and with the best information available at that point in time. So there are no bad or good decisions. It turns out maybe later that way. Stay safe, Rakesh, and I'm sure a shout out to all of you who are staying away from family. I can understand. I consider myself really lucky. I was about to fly back to work, and something, the gut feeling, as you say, that prevailed, and I decided not to go. Part of it, or major part of it, is Lavanya who said, "No, you're not going this week." I think that decision was something I'm really happy about. When I look back, the best decision ever. Otherwise, I would have got stuck in Mumbai and the entire family here and having this kind of a video call and me managing food somehow. Place where I live in Mumbai, full of restaurants. If I now understand that all of them are closed, it would be very difficult for me to manage in a lockdown situation like that. However, I know some of my colleagues who are going through this alone, away from family. A big shout out to you all. Stay hopeful, stay engaged, hang in there. I'm sure even this will pass. As they say, tough times don't last, but tough people do. So, with that, we will sign off. Thank you so much for signing in and watching this live show. It's one way of dealing with this change for us. I know it's not a big effort, but it's our way of coping with this difficult time. And soon we would come back with more updates and inputs as and when we are ready. Thank you so much for signing in. Have a great evening, great weekend. Bye bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. And if you have any suggestions from your end as well, anything which you are doing different, anything new which we can learn from you, please feel free to share in this chat here in this window or with Bhaskar on his WhatsApp. Everything will be more than happy to learn from that, and we will also try to implement those in our house. Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Signing off. Thank you. Until we meet again.